came to play tonight. And a steal. Miller retreats to the three-point line. Weber imploring the crowd.
Kenny Smith hitting the three.
Big-time plays here by Steve Smith.
And welcome to Open Court. I'm Ernie Johnson. If you've seen the show, you obviously by now know the crew. The four-time NBA champion, Shaquille O'Neal, the Diesel. Hall of Famer, Dream Teamer, Circumference.
But they've seen the show.
Charles
Why you got
Barkley.
to repeat us then?
Because maybe they haven't seen the show. I said,
Why
if
did you
you've seen
say
the
that?
show. One of the all-time great clutch shooters in NBA history, Reggie Miller, is part of the crew. Thanks for holding your comments, Reg. Five-time All-Star and former Rookie of the Year, Chris Webber. 14 years in the NBA, Steve Smith, an All-Star and an NBA champion, went to the playoffs 13 times, and five-time NBA champion with the Bulls and the Spurs, Steve Kerr, and finally the two-time NBA champion. And I've run out of things to say about Kenny the Jet Smith, but here is Kenny the Jet Smith.
Thank you, sir.
We all have superstitions, or some of us at least have superstitions. They come into play in the world of NBA basketball as well.
Handful here. Yeah, if he gives good dust here today. Yeah, kind of.
Watch the routine. He'll wipe his face 3 times on the right side.
Probably start a new string.
Now, my man, sit back and enjoy game 1.
Reggie will just start there.
What was that?
That was David Benner. Yeah.
PR guy for the...
So how did that all start, and what was being said back and forth? You yelling at him, he yelling at you? What was going on?
I had a few bad games, and obviously him being his PR self came up to me and said, I guess you only play good when people talk bad about you. I was like, you know what, you're right. We're going to start this. So I started to get in his face and say, yeah, but you're not one of those players that could talk crap to me. So the camera started watching us doing that, and we just started adding to it, because then I would start cussing him out. You got bad breath. Your dentures are showing. Why don't you get a haircut? That's why your wife left you. And we just started doing all this, and I would flick his nose and all like that, and it became a ritual.
Were there guidelines about how far you could go?
No,
in
I could
talking
say
to him?
whatever I wanted. And then he would hand me a Diet Coke. I would swig it, and then go out and take a shot.
Did he say anything back?
He would never say anything. He just took it like he's supposed to just take it.
Okay. All right. So anyway,
Really no smooth transition to Kenny Smith, but take it, please.
I wouldn't call them superstitions. I would call them routines. Like, and it's funny because I talked to Charles, and he's the exact opposite. So you might going to go to him. Like, I really wanted to take the same routine every day. And, you know, I would want to drive the same way, leave the same time, get into the arena the same time, tie my shoes the same way. I don't think I was superstitious because I never did it any other way. So I don't know if I ever did it the other way, how I would have felt.
Because you were so superstitious, you were...
I just kept my routine the same all the time.
That's that New York state of mind.
Right, exactly. I was the opposite of you, because if I played a good game or anything, I didn't want anything to have power over me. So if I have to take the wrong way, if I have to put on somebody else's shoes, I just wanted to stick with me. Anytime, anywhere. What did it say? We'll play you anytime, anywhere. That's how I wanted to be. So if I had a good game, bad game, it was nothing to me but, you know, watch film and practice. Because I just felt like people give power to superstitions. That means your practice don't work. That means you could do everything right, but you don't tie your shoe first. You know, the day's going. I just didn't dig that.
I tried to develop a superstition.
So that's a superstition in itself, though.
It is. My superstition was not to be
superstitious, which is totally ridiculous. Go ahead.
I tried to develop
thank you, EJ. We have the same team. Oh, no. You up here like, that's Tony. Oh, we're not taping, huh?
Yeah, we taping.
Oh, my God.
Oh, my God. What do you think we've been doing the last 2 days?
No, but I'm thinking there are cameras. There are cameras over here.
We're not live. We're not live.
Today on NBA Uncut.
You see the thing you're wearing? You see what you're wearing on your shirt? It's called a microphone.
Yeah, my bad.
That's what you're saying. So, you have any superstitions there, big fella?
I tried to develop a superstition on the free throw line. So when I would hit
It didn't
one,
work.
Don't call him anything. That doesn't work here.
Anyway, before I was really interrupted.
You think you were
I used to
really
shoot
interrupted?
it, and then when I make one, I try to do the same thing, but then when I miss, then I would have to change it up again. But other than that, I would have to have 4 pieces of gum right before the game, put the gum under the seat. I'd have to wear 2 pairs of socks, and I would have to drive the same way every day. And you know what? It does have power over you, because like if I miss one of those things, like I always felt I was gonna have a bad game.
So every time you miss the free throw, you got a new superstitions. You got a lot of superstitions.
First of all, I shot 57%. That means miss one and make one. Cut it out. I wasn't that
First of all,
bad.
that'd be 50%.
Whatever.
It's in the
Just add
neighborhood.
0.7 to it, yes.
Did you ever do the same thing night in, night out?
No, I never. You know, and
Never ate the same thing for pregame meal?
No, he never did that.
First of all,
He ate everything.
That was there.
whatever. Listen, when in my heyday, I would get, you know, people talk, people say, what do you eat for a pregame meal? I said, well, 2 fish fillets, a large fry, and a Diet Coke. That's what I had. Or I would go to Kentucky Fried Chicken pregame and get 4 legs, a mashed potato.
Good Lord.
Oh, I did. You
Whoa!
That's
4
all
legs.
4 legs. Oh yeah. I love 4 legs.
4 human legs.
I did, but no, you know, it's so
human
funny.
legs.
We were doing a game last year. One of the announcers said something about, hey, you know, a guy had a monster game. That's, ooh, man, if I was him, I'd drive to the game the same way. And I got on there, I said, that's the stupidest thing I ever heard. You drive away, you look at the traffic report and see which way got less traffic. You don't drive to a game a certain way just because you had a good game.
Steve Courage, you got some super.
Yeah, every game I would avoid eating 2 fish fillets. At that point, I knew I was ready.
Hey, man, that tartar sauce, I love tartar sauce.
How about it, Smitty?
I had a free throw ritual, you know, for my mom and my sister who passed away, where I would touch my tattoo, went through that. But I think the strangest superstitious ritual I ever seen was teammate Harold Miner. Everything he had to touch with his nose. Before he put his shoes on, he touched his nose. Before we get on the team bus, he touched the bus with his nose.
Are you serious?
I'm serious.
Come on now.
But he
Everything.
touched the bus with his
Everything
nose.
with his nose. I guess he had a
Did he
feel thing.
explain it?
He never explained it. I mean, he would get his shoes before he put them on, and he touched it with his nose. If you watch his free throws, he would touch it with his nose.
You ever see him
around
touch a
his
fish
back.
fillet with his nose?
No, I haven't. So that was one of the strangest things as a teammate, seeing Harold.
Anybody here ever close enough to Karl Malone at the free throw line to hear what he was saying?
No.
No.
Really?
But I've heard people ask Carl about that. I don't think guys want to tell you what they're saying. Because I've heard that, everybody's always tried to guess what Carl was saying, and they've asked Carl what he was saying. And he said, I'm not going to tell you, because he wanted to keep it private.
Superstitions and things that aren't superstitions all being discussed here on Open Court on NBA TV.
And in the NBA, to me, the charge rule I would totally take out.
You would have no charges in the NBA. You just let guys run over.
Hey, this is the NBA.
Zach, how many points would you have if you had rules?
60,000.
You can get
Like when
caught
you
up.
said take it, that's why I would not look, because I saw
can get
Shaq over
caught
there
up.
wild. I just drink my water, because
Don't blame it on me.
And this will be called against the Pacers. And a technical.
And Chris Webber with 6:34 to go in the third is on the ropes. We're going to see a lot of Scott Pollard.
And that's an easy 2. Strick run inside. They're going to foul against Kenny Smith.
He's not happy. Technical foul, and somebody's been booted. Shaquille O'Neal has been teched and thrown.
Barkley picks up the foul. And 3 on Sir Charles.
Oh, he'll get a tee right now. Here comes the technical.
Now he is hit with a technical. And he better be careful. Lenny Wilkins out.
Steve Smith away.
Our esteemed 7-player panel has put in many, many years in the NBA. Some of them bordering on losing control of the situation, as we saw Steve Smith there gesturing. If you guys had the opportunity, if planets collided and suddenly you were the guy calling the shots in the NBA, you were the commissioner, you were king for a day, what do you change?
You know, I despise the zone defense. I think it's taken so much away from the game. You know, from when we first came into the league, you guard your man. And if you couldn't guard your man, you couldn't guard a superstar. That's what made the game so beautiful. You send a double team, and then the ball rotated. I know they understand. They say the ball was sticking and not movement, but that was part of the game. I think they've changed the game so much, European style, that it's taken away the big man. And I think also it's taken away the open shot, the corner three when it was a swing. And that was the beauty of basketball. I do not like the zone defense. If you can't guard your man, you just can't play, or you go get help.
We'll go right down the order here. Reggie.
Well, I don't know if this would be a rule change, but, you know, looking at that piece, our officials take so much heat, especially come playoff time. They're always getting, you know, talking about, you know, possibly payoffs, and they call things differently on the road and so forth. There's 3 officials now, and I know there's a 4th in the locker room. I would bring that official out and have him sit at the table and watch the game on a monitor. And I would love, just like in football, I know this might put on another 5 minutes or so, but let the coaches have 2 challenges on certain plays to be able to, the next dead ball, be able to ask the official who's monitoring the game to communicate to the on-the-court officials to try to correct the game so people can stop conspiracy theories in our game.
Is the replay as it's used right now not enough for you when they go to the monitor?
You can never have too many eyes on a game. I mean, you look at...
Well, what's challengeable?
At the end of the day, they always get the call correct. Look, we know we travel in our game, but they never call it. So how about having an official there to say that's traveling?
Stop the game and just, like, at the next break,
at the next
that was a travel.
Look, I know it's going to add on, but baseball games are 5 hours. Football games are 2.5, 3 hours. But let's make sure we get it right.
That's 1-1. One good idea, one bad idea.
That's right. And I'm commissioner. I want more eyes. Look, you're the main one talking about officials come playoff time. So how about bring another official out there to watch the monitor?
Why can't you
checks and balances?
Just do a better job of calling the game. I don't think you can replay. What do you use your challenges on? Do you do a challenge on a loose ball? You challenge on a travel? I mean, I think it brings too much into the...
You could challenge on a call. I mean, there's times when Shaq may have gotten an offensive foul when they thought he went into someone's chest, when maybe he didn't. We all flop. I'm the biggest flopper probably in the history of the league.
But then how if 3 baskets were made after that, and then you're challenging it late?
They go back now, don't they?
Oh, but
on a dead ball?
That was a travel 2 minutes ago. Let's take away those 2 buckets because they happened after the travel. I don't know. I think it gets confusing for all of us.
It's
well, that's why you're not going to be commissioner.
If I was commissioner, kind of what both of these guys touched on, I'd just take anything subjective out of the game. So the charge is something that there's not a definite rule on. They try to make, okay, if you put your feet outside, it kind of hides the defender. And in the NBA, to me, the charge rule I would totally take out.
You would have no charges in the NBA. You just let guys run over people.
Hey, this is the NBA. This is it. Can I explain?
I can play another 10 years.
But no.
I can play another 10 years.
No.
Zach, how many points would you have if you had rules?
60,000.
No. But this is the thing. This is the thing I really want to say because I agree with what you're saying. Maybe pull a ref in or maybe do the zone. But I've played against Shaq. And so, if Shaq comes down and gives you a bow,
that's not our
it's not but I've been in this game and he gave me a bow. I go back, he dunks. It's not a charge. I come right back and I just go like this to Robert Horry, and it's a charge. It has to be the same thing every time.
What is this, rollerball?
No. I'm just saying. I just wish it was a way.
So bad now, is it, huh?
I wish it was a way. I wish it was a way to make sure. I'm done. I don't want to be big. I'm just like, hey, it's no charges or define the rule even more.
Just think, one thing you wouldn't have to replay. One thing you wouldn't have to replay is was that a charge?
Thank you. That was actually on your side.
I never thought I'd say this, but Commissioner Barkley.
Go ahead. I want to apologize apologize, Reggie. Clearly want to.
Let me just
take the charge out the game.
Guess what you're going to say? The game is just fine.
No, I would make players stay in college at least 2 years. You know, one of the things that really hurt our game for a while was high school players coming to the NBA, and now guys only coming after 1 year. 2 years. I can live with 2 years. I would do that. I'd make kids have to go to college for 2 years.
Why, Chuck? Why 2?
Well, because as a player, I think the first year is new for you, obviously, and I think after the second year, you're a good enough player. You learned how to play the game a little bit because you played against men more than 30 games. You played against men for 2 seasons, and you should have gotten stronger. So I really, 3, I think it's a stretch. If I could get 2, I would be really happy with that.
Jet?
I would probably, during playoff times, I wouldn't have East and West. I just want the best 12 teams or 18 teams in the NBA, or 16 teams rather. I want the best 16 teams in it, regardless of where they are, East or West. And I would pair up. I would want a true champion at the end. I wouldn't care if the Lakers played the Kings in the championship game. I would want the 2 best teams because the casual fans aren't rooting for East and West. They're rooting for the 2. They're rooting for Sacramento. Or they're rooting
So,
for
instance, if
LA.
the Knicks, for instance, and you would like this, had the #1 seed and it was the Lakers and the number 16 seed, that's okay.
That's okay. That's okay. That is okay.
But that's the problem with your suggestion. It wouldn't be feasible from I mean, come on, it would be. The Knicks would play the Lakers in the first round of the playoffs, and they'll be going across the country to play a 7-game series.
Well, that's how the cookie crumbles, but I'm going to get the best 2 teams at the end.
Actually, they do that already.
No, you get the best from the East, and you get the best from the West. But I'm sure that last year, the Western Conference might have had 2 teams in there the way it went. Miami Heat might not have been the second best team in basketball.
Whatever. No, I see what you say, but I think.
But you think the Miami Heat was the second best team in basketball? And do you think that people were rooting for let's go East? They weren't. They weren't going let's go East. They were just rooting for either Miami to win or Dallas to win, and they didn't care regardless of what. Most people don't even know that the Miami Heat.
Kenny, you want to, like college, NCAA, just put in a bracket?
Just put them out. Let's roll. Just like the NCAA. You got to play in Utah sometime. You got to go across the country. You're the #1 seed in the country.
Like I said, Reggie, I apologize.
I'm going to agree with Chuck. 2 years would be great. 3 years would be even better, but I don't think it'll ever happen. But I'm going to disagree with Steve. I think when the league added the zone 10 years ago, I think it actually opened up the game. It made people put smaller lineups on the floor, maybe put more skill guys, more shooters. I would actually go a step further and eliminate the defensive 3-second rule, where you can play whatever defense you want. I mean, basketball, worldwide, it's basketball. If you want to play a zone, well, then it's up to the other team to figure out how to score against it.
Well, one of the reasons why is, I think that's what separated pros from college to high school. You know, you played man-to-man. I think that's what put you to the next level. I mean, I understand what you're saying. It opened up the games, but I think it took away stars.
My problem, though, was when with that illegal defense rule, teams used to just park Greg Ostertag way up here, so Shaq used to have to go up and stand on the corner. They were all these kind of weird. To me, it's basketball. You gotta figure it out if you're the coach.
You remember in the finals? I was totally shocked between Game 1 and Game 6 how the Miami Heat struggle against the zone. I was like, and I actually think the zone is the easiest defense to play against.
Right.
But to watch the Miami Heat struggle against the zone from Game 1 to Game 6, I'm sitting at home screaming at the television like, are you kidding me?
But Chuck,
I was like, yo, they should have just had
the
no
zone
charges.
hides.
But no, the Miami Heat, I'm saying the Heat.
Maybe some of us need to be hidden.
But that's why you shouldn't be a pro. You know what I mean? I just think you cannot. If you can't guard your guy, it's okay. Back in the day, you just have to go double team.
I would probably be the most unorthodox owner here. What I would do is add a penalty box at the end of the game. The guys that want to fight got to get in the penalty box. And I think that would eliminate most of the fake tough guys that we have around the league.
So how would the penalty box work?
Just like in hockey, you got to fight.
You got to fight to get in
They
it?
put him in the penalty box after the fight.
So you said fight in the
Well,
box?
I don't watch hockey, so I don't really. But all I know is
You're kidding me, really?
Listen, all I know is when I watch the highlights. When I watch the highlights, I see him fight, and they say they was in the penalty, but I don't know nothing about that.
Reggie, I apologize.
You've heard it here on Open Court, a league with a wide open playoff system.
Without question.
No geography
No charges,
into
baby.
that. No charges. A penalty box. Who knows? More reps. Has it really?
Challenging is
4-hour game.
every goal. Challenging every game.
And unlimited replays. Ooh, I love this game. Steve Kerr, who's the best actor in this crew?
Kazam, baby, me.
Who's the best actor,
I think
Steve?
Shaq was most impressive. And that
You didn't like the right guard spot?
I couldn't really understand serendipitous when it was coming out. I didn't know what that word meant.
But with Right Guard Sports Stick, one gets maximum protection. And with a plethora of Ambrosio aromatics, it is virtually impossible to pick up the wrong scent. Well, off to the foxes. Right Guard Sports Stick. Anything less will be uncivilized.
You read all that, every book from front to back.
So no matter who you are or what you plan to do, learn how to read. It opens up a whole new world. It's a good thing he doesn't play basketball.
5, 7, 6, 8.
Oh, okay, see where feet work. Hey, feet work. Feet work. Oh.
Cheese and gordita crunch tomorrow.
If you haven't guessed, we're talking about commercials these guys have been involved in, and I think probably the largest amount of laughter came.
Large is an understatement.
Well, well, I don't know if it was your first one.
It was my
when
first
you were
one.
in the. I know the one they're laughing at.
Right guard.
Oh, when I was the fat guy?
No, the right guard.
The skinny guy.
You know what was really funny about that commercial?
Which one?
We played the right guard.
With the Foxes.
It took 2 days to shoot that commercial. It was freezing. We shot it in Charlottesville, Virginia. But if you look at the full commercial, I made up my mind I would never work with animals again. I'm sitting there, let's see. In a civilized society, a personal grooming lapse can result in a mortifying loss of station. So it behooves one to emanate the proper air. Thanks to the serendipitous discovery of Right Guard Sports Stick.
Good.
The
Can you
thing
say
that
it
was
with
funny,
your eyes
number one,
open? That's good.
first of all, I don't usually say those words.
Really?
But the thing that was annoying about that commercial, every time, like, I'm really concentrating trying to get the words, and then the horse would move. So you have to start over.
Those darn horses.
And I was like, then they got, then the dogs in there, they started barking in the middle of, and I mean, I want to kill the horses and right about it. I was like, man, I don't
Please, Peter,
Did
don't
you actually
fall.
ride the horses?
I did not. My horse stayed still the whole time.
I thought on that commercial it started
off a
leaving.
little bit.
Well, I might have moved a little bit, but in that little thing in the back.
Did you have a stunt double riding your
I
horse?
always have a stunt double. But you know, Ernie, commercials, it's interesting to make commercials. Most of us have all been in commercials. Like for like a minute or a 30-second commercial, you're there like 8 to 10 hours. It's like, are you kidding me?
Did they let you keep the outfit?
There ain't no way he could fit in that now. I'll tell you that right now. I'll pay whatever. You get in that outfit.
You know the thing that was funny also about those riding boots I got? Those boots didn't fit. So they had to put, like they made them 2 sizes too small for some reason. I don't remember why. So they had to put a trash bag on my legs and baby powder. So once I put the shoes on, I had to keep them on.
Night. Trash can.
I mean, it's fun making commercials, but
I tell you what, though, man, that one commercial, I'm huge.
What, the Taco Bell?
The Crunchy Gordita?
Yeah,
my goodness.
Yeah, you were large.
But that might have been HD.
Those are like professional ones. But we've all did like local TV, local market commercials.
No, we haven't.
Yeah, we've done them before.
No, you have.
When you first get into the town and then all of a sudden they'll say, well,
They're called
commercials.
those are more like promos.
No, but they'll say, no, you come and do this and we'll have, you get a free.
Like you're doing the big red furniture barn or something.
Yeah, like exactly. And I had to do a bed commercial, and it was like, sleep like a king, and I'm a Sacramento, and I fall back into a bed, and I kept hitting my head on the bed.
They're just so time consuming. They're fun to do. Obviously, you're pitching your product, and you want kids to go out and buy the shoes or use the right guard or eat Taco Bell. Why? I don't know. You telling kids to eat Taco Bell, but
I like Taco Bell.
Yeah.
Now you do?
I do now.
Even today you do?
I do. All right, get them mixed up. Violation.
Yeah, yours was for the team. You and Vlade working with the.
That was cute.
The dance team.
That was cute. That was cute.
Okay.
Yeah, but that was fun. The NBA asked us to do it in a promo, but the one commercial I do remember that kind of got us in trouble, of course, is the one we talked about Chuck. And what was great is that Nike, when they did commercials, their whole thing was don't act, be yourself. And so we get to a barbershop, and it's Joe Torre. It's a bunch of comedians in the barbershop, so they're just joking the whole time. And I just remember that was the shortest shoot. Maybe we were there 2 hours, and guys were talking, and he was like, oh, that was funny, you can leave now. Kind of like working here when, guys would tell you just to talk and do it. So, for me, that was a good experience.
Shaq, you enjoyed that?
Yeah, I've always tried to just, make people laugh. Since I'm the CEO of my own commercial company, I get a lot of my own commercials. My favorite commercial was when I first came in. Reebok designed the commercial for me. I didn't like the way it went, so I wanted to be recognized as a great big man, so I designed the Don't Fake the Funk on the Nasty Dunk commercial where I knock, come in, all the other great centers see me, dunk, break the glass, they tell me to pick it up. So luckily, every commercial you've seen for the past 20 years has been written and directed by me. Thank you very much.
Steve Kerr, who's the best actor in this crew?
Kazam, baby, me.
Kazam.
You gonna hang your hat on Kazam?
I was asking.
Yeah.
Who's the best actor,
I think
Steve?
Shaq was most impressive in that.
You didn't like the right guard spot?
I couldn't really understand serendipitous when it was coming at me. I didn't know what that word meant.
I think they're all fun. I mean, I remember doing commercials. I'm not talking about y'all. I'm talking about mine.
Okay,
but I think the one I was most embarrassed about going back looking at, I did a inside stuff with Nikki Taylor and the late Chrissy Taylor, the models, and I was trying to be cool. It was 90 degrees, and I had on jeans, jacket, and a hat because I did not want to be in a swimsuit. Obviously, because my muscles rich, I didn't want to be in.
Right, got it. Got it.
Trying to keep it real.
Exactly.
Didn't look good, but I'm in jeans and a jacket and a hat.
Has any commercial you've done gotten more reaction than the role model commercial?
No, the role model is probably the thing
people still talk about.
I am not a role model. I'm not paid to be a role model. I am paid to wreak havoc on the basketball court. Parents should be role models. Just because I dunk a basketball doesn't mean I should raise your kids.
Well, and that's what I was trying to do when I made the commercial when I went to Nike, because, listen, the college scene is what it is. We can go back and forth about players getting paid, not getting paid, whatever, but the truth of the thing is, I want these young kids, especially the young black kids, to realize these colleges, these universities are gonna make a fortune on these guys. I want these kids to stop thinking about they're all gonna be in the pros to get their education. That's the reason, and I knew, I wanted to just start a debate so I could say what I wanted to say. And I did, it worked out perfect, but I tell these kids, you're not going to play pro sports. You're gonna make these colleges a lot of money. The only way to level the playing field is for you to get your education. So that's probably the thing I'm most proud of today.
Commercials with this esteemed panel of 7 on Open Court on NBA TV.
What is your go-to karaoke
Frank
song?
Sinatra, my way. Then I've been.
I did it my
You better not pout, I'm telling you why. Santa Claus is coming to town.
Reggie Miller.
Oh, this one I was on Reggie's show.
I love a nice warm reception. But then again, anytime I step into a house, I kind of always do warm it up, so.
When it comes to playing, see, you can't taste mine, so don't waste time. Cause I can take you baseline to baseline. I got loot, see, I see how them stars feel. Back in the days, I caught wreck as a Tar Heel.
Give Kerr the ball, give Kerr a hand. I'll drill it in from three-point land. Half W, half the rest. We don't do drugs for the best.
The shack is halitosis. I gotta go. I ain't no joke. Now send it down and make sure it's right.
I like your raps.
Well, thank you, brother.
I'm on what? I'm on
That was great. That was hot.
One of the great all-star moments in the intros was that one. Right
That was
there,
great.
Shaquille O'Neal.
I like that one.
How long did you rehearse that with those guys?
I didn't rehearse at all. And let me tell you why. Growing up, we all wanted to be different people. So for me, growing up in Newark, New Jersey, it was all about the J's. On the way to the park, I wanted to be LL Cool J. So I had the rope chain, I had the Kango, I had the boombox. Then when I got to the court, I wanted to be Dr. J. So, you know, we all have dreams, and, you know, we all try to follow our dreams. And coming in 1992, I had many opportunities, and I just tried to, you know, take advantage of all those opportunities.
You were actually, your rookie year, you were on the set with me back in our old studio as a playoff analyst. And before we went on the air, we looked over and you were jotting some stuff down. We said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm writing some rap." And it's like, really? How about your music career, man? How's that taken off, the rap thing? I saw you with Foosh Nickens.
A little bit, I'm writing some, rapping some. Just waiting to see.
And then a couple of years later, here comes your first album.
And I think that album went double platinum.
It did. I bought 6 or 7 on my own. Still giving them out to friends. Why is it that athletes want to be entertainers and entertainers want to be athletes?
I think that everyone appreciates the work that the other side does, but there's a marriage there's a pool that you go into that when you grow up, you don't just want to be a basketball player. You don't just want to be a rapper. You don't just want to be a singer. So you're pretty much in that same pool of what grows up. So I grew up in New York City. I wanted to be a rapper growing up, and I want to be a basketball player as well. But that was my pool of friends. Some of them made it in that area. Some of them kind of made it. Some of them never made it. I was the never made it side and a rapper. So my alter ego was always, I'm a critic when it comes to that. So I think just because we all swim in the same pool.
It's about being on stage, really. You know, the court was our stage. But look, and you guys all know I am the biggest Michael Jackson fan ever. And the way he commanded the audience's attention.
When you used to do that intro,
with Haywood Workman.
With Haywood Workman.
You know,
that was the best intro for two guys coming out when you did the whole Michael Jackson.
It's the whole thing. You want to command, you know, obviously respect by the way you play, but the way the fans and 16, 17, 18,000, you want them up on their feet. And, you know, watching Michael Jackson, Prince, James Brown, the way they commanded their audiences, that's kind of the reason why I think both of them kind of intertwine a little bit.
Smitty.
I had no rapping skills, so I think, but you look at it, music in basketball to me, I think everybody had a love for music because I always played music going into the games. You know, you asked me going into the games, I was the best singer, the rapper, but I knew my limitations, so I stuck to basketball. But I think as a fan, you just appreciate what they do, the preparation, getting a chance to be around the entertainers, what they put into it, just the same, vice versa, the same for us.
Do most of these entertainers have any game at all? Entertainers who want to be Athletes want it.
Justin Timberlake. Timberlake. Baseline. I got
Cardboard.
Ernie, I'm going to piggyback on something Kenny said. I think that you look at all these entertainers, they love sports because actually everybody kind of starts out in sports. Like, every kid plays sports. Like, size, athletic ability separates, but like, every little kid is going to go and play some type of sport in your neighborhood. I mean, and then, like I say, the talent weeds you out. That's why I think entertainers like sports, because they started out playing sports, then they became great entertainers. But I can't think of any kid who didn't play some type of sport in the neighborhood, because that's what you do, especially poor kids. We don't get to go to the country clubs and things like that. We play football. We played basketball. You know, that's just the way it is. And all jocks, I think it's a thing, everybody wants to be able to sing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, everybody sings in the shower. Everybody, I'm a big karaoke guy.
I'm sorry to hear that.
I got some video.
I do. I love karaoke. I know I can't sing.
What is your go-to karaoke
Frank
song?
Sinatra, My Way.
Can we get a verse? Can we get a couple bars?
I have to have the words, fool. That's what
You don't know your go-to song?
How about just the very end?
I got to have the words,
Go-to
fool.
me.
I lived a life that's full.
Yeah.
The mistakes I made a few, but through it all, I've been up and I've been down.
I did it my way. You don't even get the chorus.
That's your go-to song?
Well, as I always say, there's a reason they call them karaoke singers.
That defies description, what you just did. That was unbelievable. You had an album out, didn't you?
Yeah, no, actually, I had an album and I stopped it from coming out, but
Was that bad?
it leaked out. Well,
Was that bad?
It was bad, but I didn't.
It wasn't that bad.
Gangsta, gangsta. It's all about a salary. It's all about.
Wow. Yeah. Well, I love this place. I tell you, I love y'all. Wow. But yeah, growing up, I had to. Wow. Yeah, wow. Yeah. I can't even shake that one. I just got to take that one. But growing up, wow. But growing up, you know, you said Cool J, and then you got to the court. So to me, you know, I had two posters in my room. It was Big Daddy Kane, because he had a high top fade, he was dark skinned, and it was Dominique. He had a high top fade. And when we played basketball, you know, in the hood, wherever we were, we had music playing. Or it was, so really everything really goes hand in hand. Before you play the game, you listening to music, you know, so, and you know, you grow up and you dream and you do stupid stuff like that.
I know what you're saying, my man.
Oh, that's a dope song, actually.
Who's the best entertainer that you met? Who's, you know, when you were playing and, you know, when you play out in L.A. or something like that, who did you really want to meet out there?
Well, I don't know, but I mean, I'd like to just say this. You know, as a young boy, I always dreamt of becoming a rapper. And when Vanilla Ice hit it big, I realized there is hope for guys like that. There's a market. And that's why, you know, that great University of Arizona song that really, you know, swept the nation that year.
Your song was Gangsta Gangsta too?
Something like that.
Gangsta Gangsta.
That was dope. What's up, Corrupt? I did that with Corrupt, by the way. That was nice, yeah.
But no, I think, you know, Charles talked about this earlier. When you go to L.A. and you play in a game, in the Forum back in the day or Staples, and you see all those stars, whether they're...
It's a rush.
It's unbelievable. It's a great feeling.
You know, we were talking about that earlier. Like, you see Jack Nicholson over there. Everybody loves Jack Nicholson. Then you see Stallone. Then you see Schwarzenegger. Then you see Denzel. And you're like... And it's like I'm from a small town in Alabama. And then you're like, wow, look at these people. And this was when Rocky was big. You know, Denzel was doing Soldier Story.
Terminator was big.
Jack Nicholson done everything.
And they know who you are. So you're
Yeah.
like, dang, that guy knows me. I'm a fan of his, so it was, you know.
Which entertainer had the best game, you think? Basketball game, hoop game you saw or played against? Brian McKnight for me.
Yeah.
Brian McKnight.
You know who can really play?
Brian was-
T.O., and I'm going to regret saying this, T.O. is a terrific basketball player.
He's a terrific athlete.
Yeah. But no, he's a good basketball player.
Yeah, Randy Moss was good, too. He was Mr. Basketball.
All right, that's Open Court. It's on NBA TV.
And Justin Timberlake.
I never saw him perform in person. I never got a chance to see him, and that's one of the great regrets of my life. But I just love Michael Jackson.
You know, everybody's debating Prince, Michael, who's better. I would pick
Who
Michael.
debate that?
A lot of people debate it, Charles.
There's much more open court on NBA TV and on NBA.com. Just curious, guys, if you had to name the greatest entertainer you've ever seen. It doesn't have to be live, but just the greatest entertainer. It could be an actor, could be a singer, could be a magician.
Can I go first so somebody else take my guy?
Go ahead, Chris.
Okay, I'm gonna go with Stevie Wonder. You know, you think about all the music Stevie Wonder's done. You think about what he's done from the time he was young. You think about all the hits that he's written on his own publishing. To me, Stevie Wonder is just by far the best singer-songwriter that's ever lived. And I got to see him live.
Michael Jackson. I'm the biggest. I love Michael Jackson. God rest his soul. I love Michael Jackson. That's all I can say. When he died, I actually cried. It was like a death in my family.
Have you seen him? Did you see him perform?
I never saw him perform in person. I never got a chance to see it, and that's one of the great regrets of my life. But I just love Michael Jackson.
Reg.
Michael Jackson groupie. Off the wall thriller Michael Jackson.
Groupie. There's 3. Jackson 5.
Did you see him
I'm gonna let you go
Yes.
with that one.
3 times.
3 times.
The Victory Tour, when Dangerous Tour, and then that CBS special, 30th anniversary special.
What made it special?
The way he captivated the audience. There was no one like him.
Steve.
Michael Jackson for me to entertain, but the Prince, I saw him live. I mean, he put on an unbelievable show, and you know, everybody's debate Prince, Michael, who's better. I would pick
Who
Michael.
debate that?
A lot of people debate it, Charles. I say Michael, but a lot of people do debate it. But I saw Prince live, and you know, Prince was a special show.
Shaq.
I'm gonna have to go with Notorious B.I.G. and Tupac. You know, the way they just, the way they just made you feel a certain type of way. And second, I will go with Jay-Z. You know, those guys are just great entertainers.
I know we took your answer, but go ahead, Steve.
Actually did, Michael Jackson. In high school, I think it was the MTV Awards when he moonwalked.
Mm-hmm.
That was like, I just remember everybody the next day at school was like so blown away that, he was incredible.
Jet, you have the last word.
I mean, all of those are great entertainers, but I think for sports, the most captivating one for all of us, I think, was Muhammad Ali. So whenever he would fight, I cried when he lost to Frazier. You know, he was the most captivating figure to watch and entertain for me.
I know that Ali is one
He's
of
my
yours.
personal hero. He's probably the greatest influence of my life as far as, like, not like my grandmother and anybody like that, but Ali was just a man. And it's an honor. He lives out by me now in Arizona, and it just gives me goosebumps and pride when I see him.
Get a chance to see him every now and then?
Every now and then. He doesn't go out in public a lot, but every time I got to meet him a little bit before everything set in, and just told him what an influence he was in my life, and I'll always be appreciative.
I met him, I had the chance to meet him in 1990 at the Goodwill Games in Seattle when we were televising that on TBS, and was on an elevator when he got in with one of his handlers and a young boxer who was going to be competing at the Goodwill Games. And I was sitting in the corner of there. I said, wow, here's Muhammad Ali. And I shook his hand. And then he went into this whole routine with this kid he had in the corner of the elevator. And pop, 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 pop. And it came to my floor. And I just let the door close. And I rode up. I just watched the rest of the act and then went back down to my room. And it was a thrill.
It was a thrill
to meet him. All right, it's Open Court. It's NBA TV. Thanks for watching.